video of the PTO coming in hot.
Could be featured on the YouTube video. We'll send people to your channel.
Rudy Vanberg Racing, check it out.
We're here in Ibiza, first PTO race of the year. How do you prepare for a race? Coming from the US, traveling to Europe, what does your preparation look like?
Yeah, I mean, race week's pretty standard, whether I was racing in the US or in Europe. But obviously when you're traveling and you've got like jet lag to think about, then like the previous week before traveling, I like start going to bed earlier, start like, you know, trying to shift my clock already before I travel, so then it makes it easier once I've traveled. And then even like the first couple of days while I'm out, seeing the sun straight away, being dark like after midday onwards, and just kind of trying to use the sun, like not napping, caffeine in the morning, hard stop early, like to mid morning, whereas usually I'm a bit more like flexible with that. So yeah, and then just like doing the race week stuff that I normally do, getting moving the first few days, a few little efforts. Then 2 days out, which is today, is kind of like almost a whole day off, just have a swim, because I typically don't like to swim the day before. And then tomorrow I've just got little prep sessions, and then Saturday's go time.
Do you get nervous for races like this?
I'm always nervous every time I race. I always say nerves are a sign that you care. But yeah, you can like get nervous to a point that it's like counterproductive, and it can be like super stressful. So I just try and kind of like feel nerves when you're like purposefully looking at the race site, like when everything's set up, then I like to like go see everything, kind of do everything, so I like get some of those nerves out of the way, try and be calm, be happy, and do things that I like.
What do you get nervous about?
I think just you're generally just nervous about having a good race, like having, you know, like there's always things that can go wrong. You know, you can have races where you just don't feel good, so like you never really know how it's gonna be like before, you know, you've been training really well, and I think it's just because you care and you want to show what you have been doing, what you just show where you're actually at, and not have like a bad performance. I think that's what you're scared of.
There's a lot of conversation this last week around doping, and one of the reasons the athlete claimed he doped was because of pressure. How do you deal with pressure going into races, going into a season?
Yeah, I mean, I think that excuse is bullshit, because we all deal with pressure, whether it's from ourselves, like what you're perceiving from all like externally, from like other people, sponsors, whatever. That's never like an excuse. Like people crumble under the pressure, people don't because of pressure. But yeah, you're always gonna feel that pressure of like wanting to perform, and pressure that you put on yourself from what you think your sponsors want of you and what everyone else expects of you. And it's just like you have to kind of just put that to the side a little bit and just focusing on what you can do, not focusing on the end result, just focusing on like all the little steps that you have to do. But it's just like how you deal with everything, being proud of your performance and getting the most out of yourself.
Do you fear failing in a race?
I definitely like had like a journey with this, I think, because like when I first started my career, like I really had no expectations on myself. And I think that's where failure comes from. It's your own expectations or other people's expectations. So like that was a really like free place to race from, because yeah, I had no one to like impress, upset, whatever. It was just me. So like racing was, I was like super naive into it as well, that I didn't have any sponsors, didn't have any like anyone who really cared more than I did.
Do you still think there are people who care more than you?
Probably not. That's obviously but I think when it becomes your job, when people are investing in you and it's cutthroat. In the end of the day, sport is, the minute you're not performing, you lose your job. That's it. You're cut. And I've experienced that, even like having a major sponsor pull out last year, and you still kind of like, it hurts a little bit still. And but in the end of the day, that's like the outside part, and you have to just keep that into perspective a bit. And I've like ridden the waves of that, I think. So I've had more experience, and experience I think helps with more perspective. But yeah, it's still something you have to keep in check.
So you've been racing professionally for what, 8 years now. What continues to drive you to compete?
I want to see where I can get to. I want to and I feel like I've not been performing the way I've wanted to the last couple of years, and that's been like at first super unmotivating, frustrating, and then like the last year I've started seeing like improvements again. So then you're kind of like, okay, like I have this belief that I can still get better. And I think as long as I'm making improvements, and as long as I like really believe that there's better that I can get out of myself, then I'm still like looking forward to that and can't like give it up. Because I think the minute that you're like, yeah, this is it, it's only kind of downhill from now, it'd be like super hard to still be racing.
Disregard place, what do you hope to get out of yourself on Saturday?
So I would really, 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 really like to show like a strong swim, because I think that's just going to be super important. I don't want to like stress myself out that like, I'm going to come out with Lucy, because like that's so difficult. She's one of the best swimmers ever. And like between her and the rest of the field could be just like a gap. So I could be that gap. But yeah, I just want to have a strong swim, set myself up for a good race, put myself in it, hopefully be up there on the bike, and then just run strong. And
all right, where can people tune in to watch the race?
I don't know.
Give everyone a shout out of how they can watch and win, and where, what time.
Win and where. We'll put that out there.
All right.
But it's follow the PTO.
Tell the people to watch.
You better watch it, especially my mum, because last time I think you gave up way too soon.
All right. Thanks.